Good day, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you yet again for something that is a little more modern than the Green Machine stuff. And the reason I'm making this video on my 750 is for a couple of reasons. I think in the past few months back, you may recall that I had to replace my 9mm Hornady Bullet Feeding Die. And I use the SoCal SW Mag-P bullet feeder for both my 9mm and I do FMJ/plated for 9mm. And I'll buy my 9mm 115 grain from whoever has it cheapest, whether that's Extreme or what's the other one? American Reloading, I think, for their poles. Well, in any case, sometimes, these aren't match grade, so they vary. There are tolerance variances. And I'm cool with that because I plink paper and I'm not a match shooter, and I just want things to work reasonable. And if I'm hitting my target in reasonable fashion, I'm happy camper. And when I reload, I enjoy the process of reloading, so I don't look at it as a chore. But what I don't like when I'm reloading is when things don't work. That gets a little irritating. So this machine now is 3 years old, February of 20, right before COVID hit, right when COVID hit. And as I said, the 9mm bullet feeding solution from Hornady was, of all that was out there at the time, it was good for me. And it's been great on my 45 ACP. Never had an issue. Same thing. Mag-P solution, Hornady Bullet Feeder Die, never an issue. And there is no issue with this because this is just essentially a tube. So whatever goes into the tube, when the tube is over the die, will go into the die. The problem is the die. Let me raise that up. Can you see where I'm pointing? Yeah, okay, it's catching it in frame. Good. The problem is the die. So I have, as of late, and again, this solution generally works. It works a lot better than the one that I replaced that just stopped feeding, just wouldn't feed at all. I don't care if I jammed a rod down the top, if I jammed it up in the bottom to release it, didn't work. Nothing worked. So I ended up replacing this. And I was relatively happy because I went from, at the time, 90% failure to 90% success. Still some quirks. So what I found that, for whatever reason, and this is why I went to this model, I stopped using my Mag-P. Again, not because of the Mag-P's fault, but because of the die. And what I found happening was that when this die was full, and it takes like maybe 8 or 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's see, 7, 8, and 9 should poke. 9 is right, I don't know if you can see it, if the video is catching it, but 9 is just visible, the 9th bullet. So you can't put a 10th in here. So when I fill my tubes, and I take the time to manually fill these because there's no easy way to fill these. I wish somebody would invent, like the Lee adapter where you just put a bunch of shit in there and shake it and the shells go in. I wish somebody would make that for bullets, but they don't. And I don't like automatic bullet feeders. This is what I would call mechanical analog bullet feeder. I don't like the electronic bullet feeders. They're noisy, they're big, they're cumbersome, and this is small and elegant. The problem is this die. So when I have this on here and there is a jam, as in nothing will come out, and then I think I just lost my, oh, there it is. And I'll do something like this. I'll take this rod and I'll go up and I'll poke and whatnot and try to, I don't know if you can see that, the bullet is there. So sometimes that works. But if I have to take the Mag-P off, then I have issues, because then whatever's in, you know, it's kind of like powder and primers. Whatever's still in here can go everywhere. So then you've got this contention to deal with, you know, offsetting the bullets, and then dealing with stuff that falls out. So I finally figured out it was happening right up here at the top. And my round increase, my consistency has improved dramatically by leaving the mag P off and just kind of like, obviously that won't feed because my RCBS locked the station out because there's no powder. What was happening was this, see that? See how it didn't feed the bullet? What was happening was I could manually tap up here or use another bullet to push down as pressure that I couldn't do with this on, that now feeds the bullet relatively consistency. I'm not even having any tea. Consistently. And then as I'm here, I can just keep filling the tube, the feeding die, at will, without worrying about having to touch the brass. So the problem I have when reloading and having to touch the brass is it may not seat correctly, it may not whatever, and it's just that much cleaner, in my opinion, to just pump the bullets through the die, because I don't have to be right on the die. I can be off, whereas if you're placing a bullet, you can't just generally throw it in there. You have to be pretty good in placing that bullet, otherwise it's not going to seat. But with the die, there's a lot of space here where I can just be close enough. See how I'm just angling that and just tap it in. Can't do that with brass. So I have found that, unfortunately, I can't take advantage of this the way I used to because of this finicky die. This finicky die sometimes has me, you know, maybe that's due to an offset, out of tolerant, less tolerant bullet, or a cantilure, or a pull that has a mark on it for whatever reason. And I've had people say, oh, you just go in and you either polish the die or you open the fingers up a little. Yeah, I open the fingers up so much, that's how come my other die is broken. So I had to replace this one because, you know, I'm no die expert. I'm not good at dyeing. So the reason I'm making this video is because somebody, and you know, there are people like Double Alpha that have a polymer / plastic die for bullet feeding. Not a big fan of polymer on a press. That's just, you know, my preference on my press. So I found that when I can get in here, and whether I have to take this and come in at the top to push something down, or if I have to come in because something's stuck down at the bottom, this now becomes very easy for me to do when I have the full stroke down, so that I can put my wooden dowel in there to poke around and say, hey, what's going on? Why is something boo-boo? So again, the reason I'm making this video is I have found a workaround that works for me. It gives me, and I believe we are empty now. Yes, that gives me a reasonable workaround and doesn't slow me down. And in fact, my reloading sessions have increased in speed because I'm no longer troubleshooting. I don't have to take this off and then figure out what's going on here, fix it, and then, you know, realign this and then put it on, and only have to have that happen 1 or 2 loads after that. So now by leaving it off and just having a dowel near here to either deal with up or below problems, I'm just feeding the die. And that is working pretty decently because I can feed the die until it's, you know, full, and then go about my business and I'm all good. Or I can feed a bullet every time and, again, not have to worry about anything, kind of old school, bullet and brass, the way it used to be. So that works good. But again, the reason I'm making this video is not so much because of this discovery, which I've been doing for a couple months now, but because of a new product that's out in the space that I purchased that's on back order, and I just got a shipment notification, and that is going to be in the next video, and something that I'll be discussing that I think might bring me back into a more automated space and eliminate my bullet handling for each particular load. Doesn't eliminate bullet handling because somebody still, again, has to load this or this type of device. And oh my goodness, all you 3D printer folks out there, to be able to make something that would go on top of this to feed a handful of bullets right side up, or even a manual cranking device that's similar to a bullet feeder that could adapt to that to eliminate individual bullet touching, holding, like we do with brass and the mini brass, mini case feeders and all that good stuff. Somebody please invent something. All right, so hopefully later this week when that product arrives, now that I had my shipping notification, we will see that happening. All right, here's a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. So I decided I was going to do some reloading. Took about 10 minutes to do first 100, and I just ran into, and now that I pulled the video camera out, it won't do it. There's the bullet. So here's the next bullet. So there is nowhere for that bullet to go. Okay. So when this comes around, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I hand fed that bullet, you'll see, hopefully, like I said, now because it's on video, it won't do it. Didn't feed. Did not feed. So I will place this on by hand. I will then try to push this, and this is the beauty. So I'm getting total resistance here. So it is not pushing. But what you'll find, or what I have found, and this is why I keep, sorry for the slow motion here, but camera's in the way. I found that when I do the little dance of, okay, let me just, so you can see the bullet popping up, all I'm doing is just a little bit of pressure underneath here, and let's see what happens. Wow. So when you had hundreds of bullets in here and you had to take that off to do that little maneuver because there's not enough pressure to tap here, and you don't know if it's coming here, because I've had plenty of times where just the insertion of another bullet or the pressure from my finger on the top bullet will push the next bullet down. And then I'm just, again, sorry for the camera, it's in the way, but things go very, very smooth when things are playing nice, of course. And then there's the occasional bullet flop. And this is getting relatively empty, so if the camera wasn't here, I would be putting a bullet in either every time, every other time, or grab a couple and put them in to refill that channel so that things move very quickly on the production line. And again, the camera wasn't directly in front of me, and there we had another one. So again, let me throw this one in up top. I'll fill up the tube, bullet feeding die tube. I'll cap this one, and then I'll see if it's a, okay, so that one released. So this method, meaning elimination of MAG-P, took all the troubleshooting time down significantly. It looks like we've got an upside down. Took all of that troubleshooting time away so that it's a very quick, all right, am I having an issue up top, or am I having an issue where it's being fed? All right, that's it. Hello YouTubers, Reloading Bench back with you once again, and I had a false start on this, what I'm going to call unboxing, unbagging. Maybe we'll start with unbagging and then unboxing what's in here. And I thought it was for a different product, or I thought this was a different product for a different project. So I started to unbag, and as soon as I peeked in, I'm like, oh, different project. So now we will get back on track with the project that this is for. This is from our friends at Midway. We'll keep the suspense. And I didn't know about this product for a while, and I think I saw something online. I'm like, huh? And then I did a little research, and I'm like, huh. And then I thought to myself, maybe we could use this because of all the challenges you've had, which won't be a surprise because you're probably watching a previous part that this is maybe segment 3 of, for problems I was having with my Hornady Bullet Feed Die, coupled with my SoCal SW Mag P bullet feeder, which I absolutely love. I mean, it's essentially a tube. Not much to go wrong with a tube, but the die, because of my less than perfect match rounds and whatever I use for 9mm 115 grain, sometimes they stick a little. And I have to use, as I've shown in the video, creative tools to unjam things. Well, the company most people love to bash, Lee Precision, now has an inline bullet feed kit. And I've seen other bullet feeding kits, especially from the likes of Double Alpha. And I'm not a fan of plastic or polymer dies. My die should be steel, hard steel. So Lee has come out with, and this was on back order. If I can have the brains to figure out how to open this package. This was on back order forever and a day, and the places that did have it readily available were ridiculously overcharging for it. So I know Lee has a success on their hands because of the product availability. It just wasn't available anywhere. So again, like I said, I put it on back order, and the back order came in. And this is Lee's solution to a bullet feeding magazine fed, a bullet feeding die that is magazine fed. And I can already tell already tell that this will not work with my Mag P, because this looks to be a lot shorter, the diameter is a lot smaller than my Mag P bullet feeder, which is essentially this, with tubes in between. So these tubes with this plastic is essentially a Mag P, and then when you couple this steel die, oh, and that's cool. So it is true. The Lee dies, the new split ring Lee Ultimate Die lock rings do have a hex instead of a Phillips screw now. So maybe I'll redo my Hornadys. Setup instructions. Measure projectiles cylindrical portion, A. Refer to the bullet length chart, see reverse. Okay, so obviously there's more to this than just screwing this in and popping some bullets down the throat of this particular puppy. So I will, as other YouTubers say, I'll be right back after I read the instructions and see what I'm actually supposed to do, as opposed to wasting your time. But that's what it looks like. And the few people I've seen online with them say that it works. Again, there's no plastic here. Well, I take that back. There's no plastic on the die other than this collar, which doesn't appear to be removable. Yeah, that looks like it's part of the solution. This thing that goes up and down, and it looks like it's oh, maybe it screws in. Okay, so somebody also warned me that there's little ball detents that go kind of everywhere, and I don't need those going everywhere in the garage. There's 2 ball detents that you might be able to see. It's so hard to look at the screen and figure out what's, maybe, okay, whatever. There's 2 ball detents right in there that apparently this motion with this collar, which it looks like there's 2 of, why there are 2 of these. Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but we'll worry about that later. So let me screw that back in so we don't lose any parts. And I'm going to go grab my Mag-P just to make sure that it doesn't fit. And it says this is for a 35 caliber. Back in a minute. All right, so based on the fact that it looks like this rises a little bit, that's a no-go. So maybe I can make something. Then again, maybe not. I'm not quite sure how that would work. And you can't see that because I was off camera. So that's not going to work. But I like the fact that this is metal more than I like the fact that this is lightweight plastic. But, and it looks like this is kind of locked in there. Again, it's essentially this. This is much nicer. This whole solution was 50 bucks. I think this was roughly 50 bucks. The tubes, yeah, I wouldn't want to take the tubes in and out each time. I'd do them once. It looks like clear is smaller. Actually, they both look like they're the same. The yellow is harder, thicker wall than the clear. I don't know why they didn't do clear on both, but it is what it is. And that's that. Oh, that was where the die was. All right, so I will read up on this and figure out if this is going to work for me in my Dillon 750 for the 9 milli, because bullet feeding has become a pain in the behind, as you saw in my video, not because of this, but because of the Hornady die. So more to come at a later date. That's all for now. Later. So this segment was and is going to be a shorty because it's all about, I'll call it a tweener. It's in between setting this up on the press and post-boxing, or rather post-unboxing. So I took the instructions, read the instructions, and there's only 2 settings. There's put the detents, the ball detents, in the upper holes, or put them in the lower holes. And as you can see, maybe there's the ball and the ball detent. So right now the default from the factory is they're in the upper holes, and the way you determine that in terms of which holes they go in is checking the bullet, the maximum cylindrical length. So when I did my measurement of my 115 grain 9mm bullets, they corresponded to a measurement within the upper holes. So we're going to leave this in the upper holes. And I did go ahead and put this together. And once I finished putting it together, it struck a memory cord. And so we have yellow tubes, we have white tubes, and for those who may or may not know, we have green tubes. Obviously, this is not a solution for this particular bullet feed, inline bullet feed die. But it reminded me, as I was putting this together for these bullets, of the same concept that RCBS implemented 40 years ago. So What's old again is new again, or what's new again is old again, depending on how you look at it. So obviously this is not for bullets, it's for casings, but conceptually the exact same thing. This mounts into the base of the green machine and you just rotate. It's got a divot, a ball detent for these divots to rest against, so you just rotate and your cases drop and you fill them in from the top. Identical conceptually to this. Drop your bullets in here, they come down here. There's no divot down here, but the divot is in here. In fact, you might be able to hear it. And this material is not cheaper. This is more robust. Again, this is 40 plus years ago. This is 2023. And the colors are due on the tubes to the variation of inside diameter measurements. So the 30 and 35 caliber, yellow or clear, outside diameter versus inside diameter. OD is the same. ID is 0.355 for the yellow and 0.391 for the clear. So I thought that was interesting. Multicolor, green. This is not a green machine video, so we'll go back to the Lee. Next step is, since I don't have to adjust this die at all because it comes from the factory with the upper holes occupied with the, what do they call them? With the balls. Okay, so apparently these balls have caused problems because for them to even to put this little tips for success, change the ball positions over a tray or container to prevent losing your balls. They even have the replacement number because I'm guessing people have lost their balls. And these things are probably so small that once they hit the floor, they go into another universe, the alternate universe. Anything that bounces off the garage floor leaves this universe. And you also have to ensure that you have adequate case mouth flaring is required to reduce bullet tipping. And I think you've seen some of my bullet tipping in my I think I mentioned Hornady previously, but I meant to say Dillon on my Dillon XL750. So the next step is to mount this in the XL750 and start giving it a try. That will be later. Take care. Good evening, fellow reloaders. Reloading Bench back with you once again. This video is actually related to reloading. Again, I'm not sure when you see my stuff, if you see my stuff, but we're going to pick up many days after, and we're going to focus on this and removing this, my SoCal SW Mag P, which I love, and is made built like a tank. What we're gonna do is remove this Hornady 9mm bullet feeding die, and we're going to place the Lee Inline Bullet Feeding Die in its place. So we will take my new cool aluminum wrenchy wrench, and because the camera is naturally right in the way of things, let's see, lefty loosey, righty tighty, so one would think, and I'm doing this left-handed, which is I hate left-handedness. Let me get the screw is right there, so this does not account for that effing screw being right there. So let me come in again, left-handed, offhand. Yeah, I cannot get this left-handed. So I will be back when I right-hand this. All right, Murphy's Law with the camera and the angle says you can't get a good bite. And what sucks, so you know what I'm talking about, is when you span this, you're screwed. You need to be able to grab it in concurrent divots. You cannot span this because it won't grab. And Murphy's Law says that's exactly where it was. So we were out of luck. All right, we will install this. Let's see what the instructions, actually, let's move this out of the way because Murphy's Law says that will probably hit, even though it doesn't look like it will. Holy shit, how many threads are on this? Motherfucker. Motherfucker. Well, it helps if you unscrew the correct thing. It's the black thing that needed to be screwed. Unscrewed, not this thing. Yep, I've had a little cheat. That's for damn sure. All right, let's look at measure. I'm going back to instructions. Measure projectiles, blah, blah, blah. Refer, thread the die into the press a couple of turns. Place a flared case into the shell plate. All right, a couple of turns. Flared case. All right, so now, naturally, we have everything angled at the worst possible angle because of limited space in the garage. All right, so let's see if that gives me space to work my ram, because the iron press is naturally right here. All right, so there's a flared case. All right, so in theory, we're going to go up. Well, not in theory, in practice. Place a flared case into the shell plate. Feed the bullet. Fill the bullet sleeve with bullets, base down, with one protruding. Raise the case to the top of the stroke. All right, so with one protruding. I don't know if you can see right here, but I don't see anything protruding. Okay, oh, one protruding. Maybe they mean one protruding here. Who knows? All right, so we'll try and stay in frame there. Place, fill the bullet sleeve blah, 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 with one protruding. Raise the case to the top of the stroke. Screw the die down clockwise until the bullet stack drops, plus an additional half turn. All right, so we will be watching that bullet stack as it hits the iron press in the garage that is too full. Till we see something drop. Not yet. I don't feel anything. Oh, okay, we might be running up. Okay, we just saw a bullet drop. Did you see that? We saw the bullet drop. Okay. Plus a half turn. All right, so that means this black screw is going to go into Never Never Land on the other side. Okay, so there's our half turn. So we will hold this and we will lock this down, hopefully. Okay, so that's okay. Okay, so we're kind of good. We're back to left-handedness. Ooh, are we going to be able to? I cannot see shit from this angle. So we may not be. Okay. Yeah, so whoever makes these, you got to fucking account for that fucked up space that's right there. Okay, so that is, I would say that's tight. All right, and I don't know what that thread is. Is that 3/32? We'll try 3/32. See if that works. Yes, it's 3/32. All right, yes, I like that a whole lot better than the Phillips. Easy peasy. All right, and we will screw this back in. I'm liking the fact that nothing's touching any of the, the dies, other dies. and that will screw in right there, which means that when we do put our bullet feeder in, hello, go in, go in, WTF. All right, so it seats what yep, that's in there. All right, that's how it seats. A whole lot of wiggle, if you ask me. I'm not a fan of the wiggle. So hopefully somebody like a Mag-P will redo this to fit that, because I'd much rather have aluminum than flimsy plastic. But, okay, so we now have, and I'm going to move the press. Let me unlock the wheels. Let's tilt it. Let's see how to, let's move the camera. Everything's in the way. All right. Let's move it there. Nope, that's not going to work either. Let's get this. Fuck, there's too much shit in the garage. Fucky. Let's remove that. Put that there. And let me go back. Let me reposition the camera. All right, so this is the worst part of the garage in terms of stability because of the pavement. I've got the press, the mobile press locked down, but there's a huge wiggle due to the uneven pavement near the garage door because I don't have any more space. I am out of space with projects. So we have the Lee die installed. We have it locked in, and we are going to do a test run of some cases. So we have a handful of cases. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the problem is going to be, oh my goodness. So my memory card was full just as I finished popping brass into the press. I did move my RCBS lockout die up because we will have nothing but problems with uncooperative brass if that particular die is functioning, because we have no powder here, nor do we have primers. So what we are trying to do, let me pop another bullet in so we are full of bullets. What we are trying to do is see if we have what's blocking. If we have, oh, that's a good sign. And put another bullet just to keep the channel full until we, okay, we've now made a fake bullet. And you know what? I do not want to make a whole bunch of fake bullets. So what I will be doing is pulling these off and popping them back in. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Whoopsie. That's a good sign. And I will pop some more brass in. And then we will put the case, excuse me, the bullet feeding tubes into play. Into play. I dropped a bullet. Dropped another one. Sorry for my hand, but I don't want to have to pull a lot of bullets later tonight, because right now we're at 1. And I let the bullet tube run down, and it's still functioning. I'm going to let it run down. Actually, I can't because I don't have any more brass. Let me throw in these last 2 shells that I have on this side of the tray. Actually, yep, That's all I have. And we'll see how cooperative the bullet die is when it's low on bullets as opposed to well fed. All right, that's good news. And that's good news. Wow. Okay. All right, so we'll take these pieces of brass, put them back over here, and I will get the tube. We will get the tube, and we will play with this on the tube. So here is the tube. I'm going to mount that puppy. All right, that is there. And let's see, it looks like it's this tube on my rightmost side. Hopefully that is correct. Whoops, and it just flew out of the bottom. So I'm going to say that's too much pressure, downward pressure. So I would say load the die, pre-prime the die. All right, the die is pre-primed. Now let's see what happens when we throw bullets into the tube. All right, so the camera in the way complicates things exponentially and makes things go a whole lot slower and adds a degree of challenge and difficulty for my limited capabilities. All right, so we have like 15 bullets. And let me grab some brass. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sticking out. All right, and the first one naturally came upside down, so wasn't obviously paying attention. All right, there's first one, first piece of brass. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Throw some more brass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, here we go. So we have a bullet. 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 We got to be running out here in a second. I don't know if we're out of bullets. This is empty. Let me cycle two casings in and see if we've got anything left in the bullet die. We do. And we are empty. And let me make sure we're empty. Die. Yep, we are empty. Okay, I'm liking this. I am liking this. The setup was easier by magnitudes of degree than the, and now I'm gonna, as I talk, I'll screw down my RCBS lockout die, which I would never run an automatic or a progressive press without this particular die, ever, ever, ever. The peace of mind is, I can't even measure, cannot measure. Okay, so I am going to say, for all of you Lee bashers, F you. This is a great little product. Whoops, sorry, bumping the camera. This is a great little product. This, not so great. I would love to see somebody like SoCal SW do this like they've done this, because this rocks. And whether that means putting an adapter on here, you know, maybe he can make an adapter, an aluminum adapter. I don't know, but I'm going to reach out to him, and because this is cheesy, it just is. Sorry, it does the trick. It works. The cheese factor is kind of high. The die, I think, is excellent. I'm very, very impressed with the functionality of the die. And yeah, I have some Lee bias. I love Lee product. So the Hornady, and I don't know if I will take, I'll leave this like this for now, and I'll leave that like that for now. But something tells me at some point, maybe I'll buy new lock rings that have this particular hex instead of the really terrible idea of the Phillips, because you can see all that does is break away at the anodized aluminum. So this is a much better implementation. Yeah, this one rocks. I like this solution. Double thumbs up. All right, that's it for now, folks. Later.